get crazy when the mic round. No sense
What is
of getting
good,
hyped
Oak Life
now.
Familia? Chris Craig, back at it again with the Roots and Branches. This time we got a spiffy new little intro, little graphics, little digs. Yo, Chris, what'd you think about that intro, man?
The intro is great. It's fine. It's nice. I don't have any strong opinion on it. It's a cool little touch that you added. Thank you for doing that.
Man, Chris doesn't care about all of the effort that I put into tech stuff, but it's okay. It is okay.
Also, if you know me, I'm not like the most expressive. Like my emotional expressions, like usually live within like a range. So if it's I like people, my partner and others will be like, "Hey, how was dinner I made?" or whatever. I'm like, "It was good." Like that's just my natural response to those things. So you've made fun of it too, because every so often when you see me react like really in a strong way, I get out of that range and it's like a thing. So yeah, man, it's good. Good intro.
Yeah, two things that'll get Chris pumped is baseball and politics for sure. Not YouTube intro videos, but that's okay. Fun fact about the YouTube intro video that so that is an original beat. I actually know the guitarist who recorded that, and it's none other than your main man, Chris Scott, put it down in the studio. Fun little fact about that intro song is that at my bachelor party, when I got married, my request was that for the bachelor party that my groomsmen would all get together and we would record a track organically. Chris Scott was one of those groomsmen, and I asked him to bring his guitar and lay down just a riff, and then other individuals on my groom squad would add to the beat, and we would create a song, and we did that. So that song was the seedling, the spine, the backbone of that very song all came from Chris's guitar intro.
I was trying to rap, but you guys wouldn't have it. Just yeah, that was fun. That was a good time.
It was a good time. Hey, leave a comment, or if you want to hear Chris to rap, and maybe next time we do Roots and Branches, we can have a little cipher. Hear some bars from none other than C Breezy himself.
The word maybe, that could happen. Like maybe is a very generous description of that reality. It's probably not going to happen.
Well, in other news, speaking about intros and technology and stuff like that, that's something that we've been doing a lot of, obviously, transitioning to virtual church and organizing via all the mediums. And I've thoroughly enjoyed the technical aspect of things, like making an intro and stuff along those lines. There's lure to want to invest both time, energy, resources into being polished and stuff like that. And there was a joke that we had when we started Oak Life about, how long is it going to be before we become a mega church? Chris, do you think that all of this energy towards technology and stuff along those lines, you think we're just like a hop, skip, and a jump away from, laser lights and fog machines in the background of our worship set?
I've been talking to an agent about private jets. So I got the things working. They're coming. And I'm working on my sneaker game. Do you ever follow the Instagram account, Preachers and Sneakers, where it's so good. So this is the joke on the megachurch stuff, but we're really going to talk about technology, I think. Well, at least that's what we're talking about. But they have pictures of preachers, largely evangelical, very kind of megachurchy vibe, like speaking with like the lights on them and all that stuff. And then they do like the price of all their clothing items. And it's like some speaker, pastor person has like $800 shoes and $1,000 jacket, and they're looking fly. And I like it because it's pointing out the fact like there's something wrong with that. But yeah, so that's probably not going to happen. That's probably not our trajectory. I mean, I would probably quit if it went that way. Yeah.
But what if, let's say, random person, Tommy Dreamer, Tommy Dreamer attends. Fun fact: there's no Tommy Dreamer that attends Oak Life Church. But let's say Tommy Dreamer attends Oak Life Church, and Tommy Dreamer says, "Hey, Chris, got you a gift, and it's a $300 pair of shoes, and or in this case, maybe it's a $300 hat." And do you think that it would be expected for you to wear that hat while Sunday service is happening? So it's like, hey, I received your gift and I want to show you that I appreciate it, so I'll wear it on a Sunday.
It so depends on the relationship and what the gift is. If it is like an appropriate gift, or if it's some sort of like, why are you getting me this? So I don't know. Luckily, let's see. There have been any gifts? Like it's a joke about like pastor perks, like because in many circles, pastors have like a weird level of power in families and people's lives and stuff. And we don't have that. We have a lot of people who have been hurt by that. So I think their response is like the opposite, not in a bad way, but just, yeah. And thankfully, because I would be weirded out by that. One time somebody very nice did give me a backpack, but they like helped design it and they just had extras. And I think, no, I don't think I've ever, nobody's personally given me like, I don't think I have any other gift stories. I worked at a church where something like that happened, where the senior pastor was given a Mercedes SLK, I think is the model. Like it was like this really rich person who just didn't use it and just gave it to the church. And it was like a big discussion amongst their board, like which would be our leadership team. Like, is this appropriate? And ultimately the pastor took it and drove it around. And I thought it was the stupidest idea. And unfortunately, I've just compromised. If this goes live, there's probably people who might know some of my history know who this is. Great person. We all make our own character or our own decisions based on our own convictions. But I fundamentally think it'd be wrong for a pastor to live in that level of excess. Like you're not with people. You're like at a different level. You're not dealing with the problems that people have. And people's money, tithes, generosity, whatever, shouldn't be going to like that. So, and unfortunately in America, I think those pastors, like those celebrity kind of vibe characters, they can make money doing lots of other things because we live in like a celebrity worshiping culture. And so, yeah, which is a bummer. It's very tragic.
Very. Wow.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good stuff there. One thing that stood out, you mentioned the pastors shouldn't live in excess. This past Sunday, you were talking about the manna and how that was part of the Exodus story, and what does it mean to pay attention to that. And I think of like, well, some individuals did have excess, and while some weren't able to get manna, and then as the excess is what was able to feed the people who weren't able to provide, and da. And I just wonder if there's something there. There's something there.
Keep going. Keep going. Like, give me an example.
Dang, man. I don't know. I was just word vomiting. So if there is some type of practice or some type of strategy for when access comes, because if there's going to be moments of drought, there's going to be moments of extra, right? So it's like, well, what is like a common practice that we should implement in times where we actually even go so far to look for the extra that we have? Because sometimes it's just easier to notice the deficit and we lose sight of the manna, especially the excess. We look at excess as, oh, this is a gift. This is for me. I'm going to take this new vehicle and drive it around because God's favoring me right now. So it's just interesting when you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I was just tying those things together.
I will a couple thoughts in response to that, and I will admit that this is an area I probably harbor unhealthy judgment and like resentment about, and probably even insecurity based on my own privilege, like and position in the world. Like if we live in America, we're all in the top 1%, right? We have access to lots of things that majority of folks in the world and historically never had. That said, I don't know if there is like you can't say there's no one size fits all on this conversation. You can't say, here's the cap of income and everything beyond that you got to give away. I think some of that could be a worthwhile conversation, but it's so relative. Like $150,000 a year in the Bay Area is very different than $150,000 a year in Texas or in the Midwest or somewhere else. And so to me, it's really a heart issue. And I think the best thing people can do, if given financial excess blessings, whatever the things are, like they just happen to start a business that takes off and they make $1 bajillion. The best thing you can do with that is be in serious relationship with people in different economic stratas, like as friends, as like, and I think that's one of the reasons living in a place where there's economic diversity is important for people. That's one of the dangers of like the suburbs. Like you kind of isolate with people who are like you, and everything becomes normalized. Like I had a friend who moved to Irvine, like Orange County, from up here, and mentioned that like all of a sudden everywhere he went, everyone's car was a little nicer, and he started to like notice like I think I'm supposed to like I need a Beamer now. Like my Honda's not cutting it, because it gets normalized when you're around everyone who's like that. So having a diverse set of relationships, the common language of like the poor and the rich, like there's a burden on those who have to be in real relationship with those who have less, and not in a patronizing savior complex way, but in like a, I need to go to you to learn and to be saved from my affluence. So if you're a pastor making a ton of money, theoretically that could be okay. I would find it very hard. Jesus talks a lot about the rich. Like it's crazy how much he talks about it. Like we don't take it seriously. So I don't know. That'd be my thought. If you're in a relationship with people who are legitimately struggling, it will reframe how you see your excess. And if you're thinking and trying to walk the path of love, you will hold the blessing alongside grief. Like, and I think that's, you have to do both. Like, yeah, we have a lot, but they don't. And I should be sad about that. And you got me going, I guess.
Hey, so there's three things: politics, baseball, and rich pastors. That'll get Chris going. That's what's up.
Oh, because it's so dumb. Yeah, my moral, this is just me. And you're getting like, I don't claim to know it all or to speak on behalf of Oak Life or speak on behalf of how all pastors should be forever. But my conviction is, generally speaking, pastors should make roughly what teachers do. Teachers get underpaid, but like I know for us, teachers in our area, a lot of them get paid more than we do. So I think we could probably get paid more fairly. We don't get benefits. Like we're okay. Like God's providing and it's beautiful. But on the spectrum of things, in our context, I think you and I could get it'd be reasonable and like ethically okay for us to get a little bit more money, not a ton. So that's my disposition. Like, look at the community. What does like a teacher who's in a sustainable school make? And somewhere in that ballpark is what a pastor or a ministry leader should make. That's just me. I think it's kind of, that's like a guideline. Like here's a way to start the conversation. There might be unique circumstances, like they have a bunch of kids, or there's some debt, or they're going to put them through seminary or something like that. But yeah,
that's good, man. You bring up, dude, you just dropped the bomb of education in there at the end, and that's a whole new Roots and Branches. You talk about things that inspire us to step into conversation. Education inspires me to step into conversation. I didn't mean to make that rhyme. That was just me being a wordsmith, I suppose. But anyway, we don't have enough time for that today. Maybe next time. But yes, education is something that is like it's like the amount of overdue attached to how we structure, support, view education. It's like grotesque how much has to be done in that realm. And then tying that into like compensation and things. There's a lot there, Chris. There's a lot there.
Yeah, and that education is a privilege. Like some folks, seminary is a privilege. Like it ain't cheap.
Who you telling?
I know. Yeah.
Oh man. But even with that, and I think that's a good note to kind of end on. The focus of relationship, it both manages access when we receive it, and it also blesses us when we're without it. There's been so many people who have blessed me specifically with seminary in regards to support, in regards to financial support, both so moral and financial support and stuff like that. So if there's one big highlight, it's the reoccurring highlight of this whole faith journey is that relationship is where it's at. It's kind of when we do that, God is able to do all the other stuff. So that's good, man. That's good.
I feel like we have to go. We're supposed to keep this a little bit shorter, but I feel like we have to. I feel like we got this loop of like we opened up this can of worms and we're like almost there. And I think to your point of naming the relationship piece, but because we started this, basically you got us into church and money when you brought up the mega church stuff.
I did.
What are your thoughts on this? Like I kind of riffed out. Like
that's good.
What are your thoughts on? Have you had experiences that were creepy, weird, or like church and money conversations? And then, how do you feel about church having money and money in general, excess, all that?
I think that there's these unspoken parameters, right? In which when we operate in these parameters, whatever they are, like good can happen. When we operate outside of them, that's when either if you have too little support, people in the congregation focus on relationship, then it dies. If you have too much, then the church becomes the idol. We start to idolize our intellectual abilities. We start to idolize how woke we are. We start to idolize ourselves, essentially. So whatever those parameters are, I don't know them, but the goal is to work within that regard. So you ask if I have experiences or stuff like that, or my thoughts. I feel like I know people that started because of a mega church, and had they not had exposure to that mega church, who knows whether or not they would have been on the faith journey that they are now. So if we're all supposed to be the body, some aspects of the body is going to get a little more attention than others. Some mega churches, they may not be focused. Their heart posture might not be focused in the right area, but I forget which book Paul talks about. Hey, at least they're talking about God, right? So on one side of the coin, it's like, hey, no matter where we are in this faith journey, be it mega church, be it Bible study, just get on the path, get on the road, right? On the other side of the coin, I personally, I'm a wing one. So if I feel that somebody is basing their thoughts, their behaviors, their actions in relationship to others on something that's not foundationally true, I have a problem with that. And I almost feel burdened to correct. Not about being right, but I won't be able to, I'll lose sleep if I miss an opportunity to help somebody in that regard, right? So if just to make this not as serious, if you go around telling people that Bruce Lee was a karate master, I'm going to feel obligated to tell you, no, he wasn't, because that was a Japanese art that has nothing to do with the Wing Chun that he studied. And I don't want you telling people the wrong thing. So come on, let's get in a relationship and let me show you that this is not karate, right? So same thing. If people are acting weird and they're idolizing money and they're doing weird stuff, if I'm in relationship with them, then I feel led to have the challenging conversations. But just a general view of mega churches, hey, they have their place in the kingdom too.
So here's a pushback a little bit. It's good. To your point around like getting it transparent and right, not about right, but correct. Like that's a synonym for right. But like my beef is, okay, yeah, if people want to have a country club church and you want to make a bunch of money selling CDs and all that, cool. Of course, that's your right. And God for sure God uses lots of stuff. What frustrates me is the disparity between those churches and others, and how insular they are, and how not transparent they are about their budget. Like a church who wants to spend their money on fog machines and laser lights should broadcast that, and people should buy into that. People who are going to those communities should know that this church made some decision to spend this money on this over supporting a church that is struggling or poor, or just supporting a work about poverty or feeding people or whatever, because those are the actual decisions. And that's why relationship's important. In America, the churches we're talking about are largely autonomous churches. So the American movement towards like individuality also expresses itself in church, where we aren't denominational anymore. We don't have strong networks. So there's a lot of issues with denominations, and there's every system has its own complexities. But one of the things that a network does is it requires you to share your resources with a broader community. So you can have, like here in the Bay Area, for instance, a church in East Oakland that has been around doing amazing work for decades and decades and decades. It's going to struggle financially, barely be able to pay their pastor. Like the person doing all this work is barely being able to hold it together. And then drive 20 minutes through the tunnel or over the hill and have like a massive complex with tons of resources, and it's just almost over the top. And people as consumers, we're not aware of the behind the scenes issues. We're just going to go to the flashiest, coolest, hippest, newest, modern thing, and then keep that system going. I have no problem people want to do that, but they should know they're making that decision. And the reason they don't know is because churches aren't honest about that stuff, and they're not in a relationship with each other in a deeper way. So that'd be my response.
I don't know how much of a pushback that was, but
yeah, you're right. I was in agreement. It was an addition. So you're right. It wasn't pushback. Thank you for correcting me. You're right.
Hey, my wing one showing, man. My wing one showing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess Greg and I didn't know what we were going to talk about. We just kind of hit record. And with a couple ideas. I thought we were going to talk about something totally different, but somehow we got onto preachers and sneakers. So I will say that maybe the underlying value of relationship is kind of the thing. Like, sure, we can deconstruct or critique, and I will admit that I'm probably harsher on this conversation than I am on other conversations. But the underlying thing is, so we got to be in a relationship with each other, like deep, committed relationship with people who look different than us, have different resources, all that. And we should check if we have excess, we should hold that. We should know what that means. Like, I don't think we should not have to deal with what that means for the world.
And to your point, we won't know if we have it, if we're, in our homogenous bubbles, right? Or we don't have any relationship with others, which we should start a task force, right? Where we like infiltrate into the mega churches and start building those relationships, because they're not going to do it, right? They're not going to do it. So we got to go shake things up, but in a loving way, right? Like actually work our way up to the leadership platforms, and let's do that. Let's do some
good point. Because often people who are on, like, at least my side or our side loosely or whatever, will like be like, oh, we're not into that anymore, so we do our own thing over here. And if we were connected in some way, there'd be chance for change and connection. I will say that's hard, and they're often not interested in progressive, inclusive, gritty church plants in Oakland that say Black Lives Matter, and like
we're on to something though. Army has the and if anyone's listening and you want to correct me, please do. Army has the Rangers, I believe. Navy has the SEALs. Marine Corps has there's Green Beret, Marine Rangers. Anyway, there's a special task force.
Who are the X-Men? What are they?
Oh, well, they have Team Red, Team Blue. Basically, it's like every organization, group of individuals. Like we have a justice team, right? What if we had like a special ops team that went? I don't know, because now I'm saying we have the answer, and I don't want to argue that. I don't think we have the answer, but relationships is the answer. So maybe we do have the answer.
I think we have the answer. I'm just kidding.
All right, we're gonna close on that because I hear some babies in the background like Timbaland. Bonus points if you catch that reference. Any closing words?
So give us all your money so we can buy our private jet.
And with that being said, Oak Life, peace out. Continue to live, love, fight, and follow Jesus did. And check this outro out. Peace.
Talk to him. Talk to him. I ain't got a hope.
I ain't got it.